I mean, we have so much to talk about. There's just so much happening right now. And just to lay it out for the audience here, we're going to be talking in this conversation about all kinds of things, but mostly banking deregulation, the central banks continuing their agenda to shift towards gold. From what we're seeing and the research we're doing, it seems that the financial system isn't just struggling, it's actually undergoing a major reconstruction. You know, the economy, it's broken, but it's being also deliberately transformed. And this is something like, you know, one that's very interesting about this administration. They're not here to like fix anything. I think they're here to really break it and kind of bring us into this controlled transition towards a new financial system. We talked about this before. That's how they sold the idea, I think, in the early days. Hey, this is more convenient. We're going to take your natural resources. We're going to give you something that is completely made up, thin air. And that's what central banks have essentially done. They have perfected and mastered the art of printing money out of nothing to devalue the currency and consolidate the wealth by making inflation higher, which is not a natural phenomenon. It's a direct result of printing, to where people are forced to sell their assets because they have to pay higher prices of goods and services. And they're buying all this because they can afford to, since they print the money out of thin air. And it's crazy. There's no such thing as trickle-down economics. The money always stays at the 1% and 2%ers. By the time it gets back down to the rest of the population, it's not worth anything. It's very interesting. And again, like we said just previously, how they're keeping the public distracted with the political narratives. And that was all tied into what the Biden administration did, and the cloud pivot strategy. You're familiar with this, how they collapsed the economy from within in order to keep you distracted, but at the same time to accomplish all these other things that they have to accomplish to push their agenda. So it's much bigger. And of course, that's a rabbit hole we don't have time to go into, but this is exactly why we're seeing, I think, a wave of banking deregulation. It gives really Wall Street the greater freedom to take risks. And that's what you were just talking about. At the same time, it's the central banks who are aggressively accumulating the gold while taking those risks. And, you know, it's like, what's really happening behind the scenes? Who benefits from this? And the short answer is it's the same financial elite that have always controlled the system. So deregulation isn't really about helping the economy. I think it's about giving them more room to gamble. This is about control, really. And a lot of people don't want to accept that because I think of the fear. When people are naturally fearful of something, they get very defensive about it. So if you try to talk to a lot of people, even in our own community, the XRP space, that they believe just Trump's going to fix everything, not acknowledging and at least recognizing the cost and the pain that's going to be associated with this transition. And that's what's going to tie us into our next subject. It's central banks.